to say good morning. Good morning. So I managed to compartmentalise my life enough the past few days to see the big picture had been wiped from my memory. So in other words, I've done this work before. I'm being made to do it over and over. And anyway, I've done it again the past few days. And ultimately my main focus is improving my circumstances so I can not suffer more. In other words, I've got my boat here, a lot of work to do to improve my circumstances. Floating shed, living in what could be considered as a home. And ultimately, practicalities of life are taking precedence. Ultimately, if I wallow in my self-pity, well, it's not really self-pity, it's very honest. Sorry, you've got a bit of paper blocking the camera. I can't move it. If I move it, it's going to fall down. But an honest perception to life is impractical at the moment. And I've learnt that. And I've said to myself, I've just got to suck it up. I believe I'm in a coma anyway. So for me, it's a very serious everything that happens to me. Especially given how insane my life is beyond my own insanity. And I've come back to the same place where I realise I've just got to get on. Managed to do a little bit of work the past 2 days, which have been near non-existent before that. My eyes have been changed, so in other words, someone's messing around with my soul, because eyes are the windows to the soul. Every life that we reincarnate, our eyes are the same. Tweak. Don't know how that happened. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. But what am I going to do? Go and ask God for a refund in exchange? Ask him why my eyes have been stolen? I didn't give permission for my eyes to be taken. But anyway, I'm getting on, and I need to keep positive, and practical. And if I need to be practical and I've got all my life lessons bugging me in the background because I'm real, so in other words, if I'm just honest with how bad my life is, it's very depressing and it's very negative and it's very dense, the energy, and dealing with my problems. With that energy, it's just an impracticality, near impossibility. Well, it's got to be impossible, because this is near impossible what I'm doing now. And anyway, so I'm making a live stream, trying to keep the spirits high, whereas my mental health, the decision, right, I'm going to be positive because that's what makes sense. My mental health just plays with me all the time. And on reflection, what happened yesterday was my mental health tried to push me the other way, make me too positive. It just likes fucking with me. It just likes to ruin my life. And anyway, on reflection, it's feel yourself being messed with at such a fundamental, vulnerable place. But it is what it is. I've got to get on. and I'm resorting to the prior attempt to apply a little bit of positivity. I'm sure it doesn't come across to anybody else because nobody seems to be as depressed as me, but this is positive, Andreas. Hopefully yeah, so the title of the video, what was it? A gift within a curse. Basically, what it is, I'll tell you what happened the first time when this occurrence was realised to me, and with my mental health, it's almost like it's almost like how best to describe it. Sorry, my mind just went blank for a second. My mental health is like an excuse, a very real, very painful, very present moment experience, but it's like it's not the main point. So what I mean by that is sorry, I'm just trying to do about 5 things at the same time, and my physical health is just stopped me from being able to speak at the same time. So I'll get it out in about 20 seconds if you can forgive me that. Here we go. So my mental health is secondary to the main reason I'm experiencing my mental health in the first place. So over the course of my mental health, the first 9 odd years were just like intense, anxiety based, relentless, getting to know my mental health, and not only getting to know my mental health, but losing to a certain extent to my mental health, accepting it. And in that process, what I came away with was not a lot in the first instance. Looking at my life, it was like horrible experience after horrible experience. But I can't remember when it happened. On reflection, I realised that comparing myself 9 years on from who I was and what I believed at the beginning of my mental health, I realised I came away with a very, very real, very, very undeniable perception of reality that allowed me to categorically deny the existence of the collective psychosis. And as we said before, the collective psychosis is the secret spiritual awakening taking place on the planet. I say spiritual, conscious awakening taking place on the planet. And it showed itself present in people time after time. And I'm unable to really deny it. So what it is, my mental health took me through a process of 9 years of beating me, and so that on a conscious level I could truly digest that the world is awakening on a conscious level. And not only is it awakening on a conscious level, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what my coffee is, with me, and it managed to communicate a certain level of tone and ideas about itself and what's expected of me in terms of being a person. And it took 9 years for that to really embed itself through trauma after trauma, for me to just switch off whatever part of my brain was a fight in it and say, well, actually, no, this is happening. And since that was the first one, that was the first realization that I was able to be honest with myself and say, yeah, this is what's happening. I am going to have to just go and get the coffee. 1 second, sorry. And what happened is, I've realised since then, since the first time I made that realisation, that every so often I get taken through a hard, challenging time period. Chances are, if I turn around and look at it, awareness that's come to me about life and the world. For instance, when I went to a private mental health hospital a few years back, I came away, and it was a challenging time. It was a bit different the way the challenge was that time, because seemed to be balanced out with a certain level of, well, it wasn't balanced, but it had definitely had a lot of warmth in amongst the coldness and the turmoil. And where on that occasion I had the realization after the challenge was finished, to be able to admit to myself that I'm in a coma. And the likelihood is, in the real world, what's constituted me being in a coma is a very like experience. And for all intensive purposes, I might as well be dead now. In the afterlife, or the Tibetans and the Egyptians, they had initiations in the afterlife, and, as I understand it, there's the Tibetan book of the living and the dying, the Tibetan book of the dead. So there's real consciousness about the afterlife in spirituality, and I kind of believe this is my own subterranean chamber experience of the Great Pyramid. They say you go into the subterranean chamber to deal with all your baggage. I've always carried big suitcases. I wasn't meant to be funny. I'm autistic. I can't decide what I'm going to need to take, so I just be overcautious. In absolute honesty, that's me. So on a spiritual level, I'm sure that correlates and translates. And it was just to see if this latest experience with 4% battery left, if there are any messages, or not messages, but realizations about reality that have formed, because that's what they do, they form and I don't realize them. It's like, imagine having to do something that's going to tax your concentration, like what could we say, what's tax? Imagine operating on a patient and you've got to be alert, and while you're operating on that patient, you've got a little kid next to you, and they keep tugging you and they keep pulling you and they keep speaking to you, and you go away, and they don't go away, and after a while you just ignore them and you just get used to a tug and you stop, and then you carry on. And at the end of the operation, you think back, what was that kid all about? What was he trying to say to me? What was he saying to me? He just kept repeating the same things. And then you look back and there's not messages, but there's a realization that you weren't acknowledging in the present moment of words and language. So that's the sort of thing that I'm trying to say. So for me, this has been the most challenging time really yet. This process, I've never been like this in my life. I've never been what this time has asked of me. It's like there's a different energy that's been surrounding me. A different level of application in terms of consciousness to difficult situations that's been born of the past. And it was to see, well, what's there, what could possibly be the reason for this latest madness. Where things have been so strange. And that's what I was going to explore now, and it's taken me almost 20 minutes in my fighting through my mental health, physical health, to get to a place where I'm a state, but I can talk. So the things that have come up, that I'll state the facts. Most of this probably isn't relevant, but one thing that comes to mind is I've been considering changing my name through this process, because I've seen how different I have been. And it's not pretty much just how different I've been, But it's a case of life has asked me to be like this. Life has put the challenges in front of me, and I've just done my best. And in doing my best, it's looked like what it's looked like, and it's been so different to what I've known before. But I think I'm thinking at the time that, in all honesty, who I once was, Andreas Dimitriou, born and raised in London, with a certain energy, certain tone, certain characteristics, given the latest experience, was never going to come back. Well, given the latest experience on top of the past experiences, who I once was, it's hard to say, but has been buried. It's just like, I've realised that who I once was my family. Who I once was who I was to who I was to my friends. And I found myself very alone. I found myself very disconnected from everybody. And not only that, when my mental health challenges me, it sometimes pushes me back to my family, and I have a small interaction with a family member that I've not spoken to for a long time. And it happened again on this occasion. You know, I can't remember if it was speaking to them that I realised, but ultimately, I'm not going to be the same person to my family ever again. And if I'm not the same person to my family ever again, I could be anybody. I'm not Andreas Dimitriou. That's all I was. So, in that moment, I realised there's nothing to hold to of the past. The past is just holding me back. And not only is it holding me back, but it's... well, no, that is just it. The situation in the present moment is so pressured, so unreal, so demanding that I need to change. And that's what the recent period has really shown in me, a different side to myself. And in all practicality, if I'm in a coma, and if this is my life on a day-to-day basis, holding to an idea of the past and who I thought I was, it's only going to cause me pain. In other words, I need to be present to the demands in the current moment of what life is asking of me. To who I was, that's a different application of mind and application of life. And in that I realised, well, I might as well, I can't remember how it happened, but I can't remember if I was just messing around, if I was just in so much pain at the time. I thought, let's just play around with names, do I? But on reflection, I could label the energy of this experience because it's been so different to who I was. And I labelled it and I gave it a name. And then I realised, whoa, if I take that new mindset on board, hold that name and allow myself to live life with that new name, it makes things easier. It's a really weird thing. If I say to myself, I'm Andreas Dimitriou, but I'm just experiencing a different way to life, a different energy, it's a challenge. If I say to myself, I I am the body that was Andreas Dimitriou. And I've labelled this new energy that is, in essence, just practical to the current moment. And if I give that a name and restructure my mind to that new name, that's who I am for all intents and purposes. It's not who we are. We're not a name, but that's the world. That's our mindsets. We are a name. Unless you want to go through your own 9-year period of struggles to get rid of that idea. But anyway, with the label of this new name, it suited it. It suited the energy. And I half realised if I just call myself by this new name, it does most of the work for me. I don't have to challenge myself in terms of my old feelings, my old mindsets to life as the starting point.